Welcome back to College Football Addiction. You guys know this, but if you're a college football fan, realignment has been shaking up the sport like never before. Conferences are expanding, schools are jumping ship, they're suing conferences. But today, we're diving into one of the most interesting angles on this. It's the angle that I think people talk about more than anything else when it comes to conference realignment, and that is why FSU, Florida State University, is truly the perfect fit for the Big Ten Conference in the next chapter of college football realignment. Before we go on, a huge shout out to ex-user Genetics56, who posted a detailed tweet that inspired this video with some incredible data on FSU's potential impact. I'll link that in the description so you can go check it out when we're done. Grab you a snack, sit back, and let's break this all down. Now, first, let's set the stage. College football realignment has been a whirlwind since 2023. The Big Ten made waves by adding UCLA and USC in 24, as reported by many outlets, expanding intentionally their footprint to the West Coast. Meanwhile, the SEC grabbed Texas and Oklahoma, solidifying their dominance in the South. But one conference that's been on shaky ground is the ACC, where FSU and Clemson have been pretty vocal about their dissatisfaction. Now, we've even seen some battles from that. Florida State and Clemson sued the ACC, and the parties on all sides settled for unequal revenue sharing and a reduction in penalties for leaving the conference early. ESPN's contract with the ACC does run through 2036, and there's a revenue gap that could see the SEC and the Big Ten outpacing the ACC by over $30 million annually. Now, let's get to the meat of why FSU makes so much sense for the Big Ten, starting with numbers. Genetics lays out a very compelling case. If FSU joins the Big Ten, it could bring in 1.38 million new viewers per game in Florida alone. That's a massive jump compared to the current 1.23 million Big Ten viewers in the state of Florida. And it outpaces what Miami could potentially offer by over 365,000 viewers. Miami would add about 1.01 viewers per game. And there's a gap there. Why does that gap matter? Well, Florida is a college football hotbed with a huge population, and being able to capture that market could be an absolute game changer for the Big Ten's ratings. As was pointed out in the post, this difference likely reflects FSU's larger and more engaged fan base, fueled by traditions, whether it's the war chant, the tomahawk chop, whether it's Osceola playing the spear, whatever it is, it fuels a much more passionate and larger fan base. Imagine the viewership spike for a Northwestern versus Maryland game if FSU fans tune in just to see their conference rivals. Why Florida matters to the Big Ten? Well, let's zoom out for a second. There's a surprising stat that we want to share. There are more static Big Ten viewers in Florida than in Texas, despite Texas being a football-crazed state. Florida's large population and deep love for college football make it a very lucrative market, and the Big Ten is already in a strong position there thanks to its alumni bases. But here's the kicker. The Big Ten's market penetration in the Southeast outside of Florida is pretty low. Only 3% in North Carolina and Georgia, 5% in South Carolina without Clemson in the fold. Adding FSU would give the Big Ten a foothold in the Southeast, a region dominated by the SEC and the ACC. Genetics goes on to argue that this move would enhance the Big Ten's national presence, and I couldn't agree more. It's a strategic play to balance the conference's recent West Coast expansion with UCLA, USC, and of course, Oregon and Washington. But there's also a financial incentive. Let's talk about money, because it is college football, and that's what drives everything, especially realignment. The Big Ten signed a massive $7 billion media rights deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC back in 2022. This was reported by ESPN. The deal, which runs through 2029-2030, that academic season, is all about maximizing TV ratings. And to justify that price tag, adding a team like FSU with its proven viewership draw would be a no-brainer. Genetics estimates that FSU could push the Big Ten viewership in Florida to over 2.6 million per game. To put that in context, web search results show that Ohio State's 2024 Rose Bowl win over Oregon pulled in 21 million viewers. Huge numbers, but those are marquee matchups. FSU could help boost even the less glamorous games, like a Purdue versus Rutgers matchup, by bringing in thousands or even millions of new viewers from the Southeast. Beyond the numbers, FSU brings something else to the table: a passionate fan base, an insanely passionate fan base, and a football culture that aligns perfectly with the Big Ten's values. FSU's tradition, like the War Chant, like Osceola, reflect a fan engagement that resonates with the Big Ten's emphasis on both history and community. Picture this: FSU versus Michigan at the Big House. Over 100,000 fans screaming as the Seminoles take the field, remembering back to some of those old matchups when Coach Bowden was there. Or an FSU versus Ohio State primetime showdown in Doak Campbell Stadium on NBC. These marquee matchups would drive insane ratings, ticket sales, and overall buzz for the conference. FSU's addition would create blockbuster games that boost the revenue across the board. And let's not forget FSU's football's pedigree. While the Post focuses on viewership, they also are noted for their strong history, which we absolutely cannot ignore. FSU has 3 national championships in 93, 99, and 13, and a legacy of dominance under coaches like Bobby Bowden and Jimbo Fisher. Even with a rough 2024, FSU has the potential to rebound, especially in a conference with the resources like the Big Ten has. The conference already boasts powerhouses like Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Oregon, and others. Adding FSU would elevate the competitive profile even further. It's a win-win. FSU gets access to better competition and revenue, and the Big Ten gets a perennial contender. No, there are some hurdles, that academic fit, other things that we need to discuss. Of course, no realignment move is made without hurdles. One potential roadblock is FSU's academic fit. The Big Ten has historically valued membership in the Association of American Universities, or AAU. It's a group of top research universities. Most Big Ten schools are AAU members, but FSU isn't, at least not yet. This could be a sticking point for the conference, which prides itself on academic prestige alongside athletic success. However, the Big Ten has made exceptions before. Penn State joined in 1990 despite initial cultural mismatches, and Nebraska was added in 2011, even though it had lost its AAU status shortly after. If the Big Ten sees enough football value in FSU, they may overlook the academic criteria, especially with the financial stakes so high. And Florida State itself believes that they're close to pulling AAU status very soon. Stepping back, FSU's addition would help the Big Ten achieve its goal of becoming a truly national conference. With the West Coast teams that we've mentioned and the traditional powerhouses in the Midwest, the Big Ten needs a Southeast anchor to complete the puzzle. FSU and Clemson both align with the Big Ten's competitive and cultural goals, but FSU's viewership impact makes it the top priority. Clemson would add just under 500,000 new viewers, which is solid, but FSU's 1.38 million viewers is on another level. This move would counterbalance the SEC's dominance in the South as well, giving the Big Ten a stronger recruiting presence in a talent-rich Florida, a state that produces some of the best high school football players in the country. So there you have it. Florida State makes a ton of sense for the Big Ten in this next chapter of college football realignment. From its massive viewership potential to its passionate fan base and its strategic fit in the Southeast, the Seminoles could be the key to unlocking the Big Ten's national ambitions. Again, a huge thanks to Genetics56. I will link his post in the description because you really should take the time to read through it if you're a realignment junkie like I am. Should the Big Ten make a move for FSU? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this content, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button. We try to bring pretty thought-provoking and interesting content for you all year long. All we do is college football, and it's all we care about. So make sure you're locked in with us here on College Football Addiction, and we'll see you guys soon.